Xanaduko is there.
All right, Xanadudu came in. Hey, Xanadudu, how's it going?
Hey.
So yeah, we'll get started on the topic in a bit. Hopefully, some more people roll in.
Got a
Have you got any new
notification.
fish lately, Bob?
Sorry.
Any new fish lately?
Actually, at the fish swap this past weekend, I got a couple of things. Got some koi angels from Tiffany White, and hers are really nice. So I put those in for now since they're all nickel sized, in with the Philippine blues that I got from George. After that, went to a store and got a couple of dojo loaches. I can't find one, and I did find one dead, so I don't know what's up with that.
Are you going to go keep those in a temperate tank?
Keep what?
The dojo loaches?
Yeah, actually, I put them in with the killifish, and they were doing fine there. I just don't know what happened.
Hey, Jess.
Which Jess? I need to look at chat.
Shrimp Granny.
Hey, Jess, Shrimp Granny.
Yes.
Howdy. Xanadu.
I'm trying to share this on my community page.
Awesome. I got some engineer gobies today, a lawnmower blenny for the marine tank. And then I also got a Halloween hermit.
I have seen those, but I don't remember what they look like now.
They kind of look like the electric blue hermits, but orange instead of blue.
Okay. You know those engineer gobies, I'm sure you do, they change quite a bit as they grow.
They look like ropefish when they're full grown.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, so it looks like the 150 will become a Fowler tank.
It's nice. Get a lot of room.
What do you up to, Jess? Alright, I shared it on here, YouTube. Facebook.
I told a couple of people I was going to be on here, and they said they would come. Bobby, Tennessee Aqua. I think I told Skipper. So maybe some of that lot will come in.
Plotting and scheming as usual.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then I also got some a couple more peppermint shrimp, so I can have for when I start my quarantine tank for the corals.
Nice.
Hey, Vanoski, how's it going?
Vanoski. I don't have any peppermints right now, just the skunk cleaners.
Those are fun.
They are. Mine are old, I guess. They're big.
Those are some of my favorite.
And they'll take food right out of your hand, you know, because that's what they do. They climb on fish and clean them. And so that's just natural behavior exploited.
Yeah. Hey, Myrtle.
Dual. Catching up on 2 times speed.
All right. Yeah, I didn't notice you could actually do that. Watch stuff in 2 times speed. It's pretty cool.
I didn't either. Apparently you can.
Like makes like an hour live stream half an hour.
I believe that, Jess. Guy sticks his head in a tank and the cleaner shrimp went inside his mouth to clean his teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Should we do a giveaway later on? I always have something to give away.
The giveaway?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got something I can give away.
Like what?
like a massive bag of Viber bites.
Oh. Is it unopened?
Of course.
Every little buddy likes vibro bites.
Got a big bag too.
I saw, I guess it was in a live chat that the snake that you sent to Furlough, Priscilla, had eaten its first mouse, I think.
Did he show it?
He may have, but this was in a live stream, not his stream, somebody else's. And I just said, hey, how's the little snake doing? And I said, what did he eat? And he said, a little live mouse.
It was like the next day after he got it.
Nice. Hey, Crystal.
Language, Jess, language. And she knows I'm being silly. Hey, Crystal.
It wasn't the first time.
Crystal.
I can't say anything
Redo.
about language.
Didn't I send you some mail there? Redo. I hope you got it.
I'm the only one not with a tank of some sort behind me. I feel like I should resolve that issue.
Show us your tank.
Well, it's hard sitting in this room not having a tank.
Yeah.
I
Hold
do.
on. I'm going to resolve that issue real quick.
You see me cuss at people in Walmart. Actually, it was in the parking lot, Jess. Facts matter. Hey, there's Dave. Yeah.
Oh, in Walmart language.
Hey, what's up, Davo?
Dave, look what I got.
Right, Priscilla.
It's a cup from Dave's Aquarium Dots. Well, it just says Aquarium Dots, but it's from Dave. Sweet. Got my mail. Oh, so Lisa messaged me. She has another special needs bed up. She was gonna send me.
I do remember that, Jess. I can't remember what happened. I did lose it on her. You're right.
Oh, that's bright.
Is it too bright?
Did you put the fish in there?
Yeah, they're in there.
Did you turn the power head off, or is it still on?
No, I turned it off. Water at the top's not really moving.
Yeah. Looks good.
Nice. Thanks, Davo. Hope it's going well out there.
Yeah, the lighting's really nice on that tank.
It should look better after I get the mounting done. I had to figure out a way to mount it because there's nowhere to mount it on the tank. Or is there?
Is that a plexiglass?
Yeah, it's acrylic.
Acrylic. I mean, yeah, I run into that too with my 3. It's always an issue.
Yeah, so I got some A80s and the bendy arms. So here, let's see. Actually, I got a piece of wood here. So I was gonna mount this to the tank like so in the back, and then get out the little notch to mount the light too.
Nice.
Working on that a bit today. Hey, Patty.
Patty, I'm gonna have to call you Pucker and Patty. She told me today that now that we don't
Nice.
have to wear a mask, so we can kiss again. So there you go.
Yep, the federal government said if you're fully vaccinated, you shall no longer wear your mask.
Yep.
But I was wondering, does
So
it
you
apply to businesses and stuff too? Like airplanes where they go like you have to wear a mask? I mean, if you're on private property.
It said I didn't read the detail because I wanted to know all the detail, and it said if places require it, if it's their business policy, you still have to adhere to whatever that business is. But it's such a huge change, though. There's so much freedom now if you're vaccinated. So
Yep. I'm fully vaccinated.
me too. It's just been 9 days, and they say really 2 weeks. So I'm kind of being careful, but I didn't wear it much today. I didn't feel like I needed to.
For me, it's been 7 days after the second shot, which this guy came with me and I got my second shot.
And it was funny. Well, kind of.
It wasn't funny at all. It was like a drive-through. The FEMA has here at the Budweiser Event Center. They make a drive-through as like different tents, and you go first to the registration, then they'll make you or ask you about the policies, then they give you the shot, and then you pull forward and you have to park for 15 minutes and they write the time on your window. And then a medic comes and asks how you're feeling and says if you don't feel well, just honk your horn. Right?
Right.
So they're just sitting there waiting. And then there was a white Tesla in front of us, and the lady jumps out of the Tesla, goes over to the passenger side, opens the door, and the guy that was her passenger started throwing up.
Oh.
I'm sitting there like, what is she doing? I'm still tired. It's the morning. What is she doing? See the door open, and all of a sudden, just right on the asphalt, like, oh.
Yeah, and then the medics came running and checked the guy out, and then the lady came back to my window and goes like, "Are you still feeling okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think so."
Yeah, how could you tell?
Right?
Hey, Jess, what up, TN?
Hey, other Jess. And there's Tennessee Auto.
Other chest? I don't see her. Oh, there she is. Chest Robert.
Need my phone for the questions.
Yeah, we have an actual topic tonight. Somebody came up with a topic.
Somebody.
Crystal Pets and Plants asks, is any of you going to Aquashella? Not Chicago. The one that's coming up soon. It's too far away for me.
I think as far as fish events, I'll only be doing, what is it again?
Reefapalooza?
Yeah, that one.
I thought about Reefapalooza.
Come to the one in California, Bob.
Yeah, I'd have to because isn't the other one in Florida this weekend?
No.
No, it's coming up soon.
There's like four different.
Yeah, there's several of them.
Oh, okay. I'm really wanting to go to Pam's camping trip. So
When is it? Did they set a date?
no, she said the other night she needed to, but as she did, I haven't heard. It's going to be the middle of September. So somewhere
Maybe
in
we
there.
could go there. Maybe.
I would like to.
I mean, it's not that far.
Have to sort out my fish. Jess
You
came
play
up.
on the Chicago Crystal? Hey, McKim.
Question. Look at my face. Am I everybody? Scratch my back. Am I nobody? Who, what am I?
Nice. I'm hoping to get some Epistos going soon.
Oh, okay.
I'll go to Florida. Not a state known for its good decisions. Yeah, and one of my local radio stations had a skit, or whatever you'd call it. What's wrong with Florida?
The governor's cray-cray, I know that.
Good boy. Every time I see something about Florida, there's gators involved. So, nope.
All right, should we get started with the topic?
Sure.
Thank you, boy.
All right, so the topic is pretty much how many tanks is too many?
That's my Bob sitting here.
That's it didn't escape my notice that I'm probably the poster child. So not yet, but I have some thoughts on my own tanks. So
Think it might be becoming much.
well, I have tanks. You know, Ginger had to give up some tanks, and they were bigger tanks, and I still have 3 of those with no fish in them. One of them finally has water in it, the 75. But I had 9 10-gallons to set up, you know, as breeding tanks and grow out tanks for projects that I'm wanting to do, and I haven't started. So I've got 12 tanks really to get going. But I just hit the pause button because I want to see if I can kind of acclimate myself into a routine that is comfortable for me. And I had been doing changes 4 days, starting on Friday and ending on Monday. But the last 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, I've been starting on Friday and ending Sunday without overstressing or feeling like it was too much. So, and if I didn't have Python, there's no way that I could do that. So
All right.
we'll see. I think it's time for me to look at, without automatic water changing system, it's time for me to look and say, well, you know, do I really want to go any more tanks?
Do you know how many tanks you have?
68.
68. Do you know the total water volume approximately?
No, I need to go through and just, you know, maybe record my voice and say 10, 20, you know, and like that in each room, and then I can total it up.
Okay.
It's a lot of water. My electric bill is over 100, and I try to conserve electric. The water bill is over 100, and I try to conserve water too. So,
How many aquariums did you start with?
Solar panels.
oh God, that was in the previous century. I started with one 5-gallon. I don't remember them being 5.5 gallons back then. I think they were 5. I got it for Christmas when I had just turned 7 in November. So one tank, and then I got a 10 by the summer. So I had two for quite a while till I was able to work, really work and make my own money and go from there.
Hi, George.
George.
Hey, George.
I started out with a 10-gallon and I got goldfish. I remember that. I was like 10 or so. And then as an adult, my first tank was a 75 because it was on
Good
sale.
starter. I wanted to switch to goldfish because a neighbor got a, not sure what it was. It was bigger than a 10. I don't think it was a 55, but they got a whole bunch of angelfish, fancy angelfish, and I really loved it. And so I told my mother I wanted to get rid of all my community fish and get goldfish, and she said, "You're not, they're nasty." So that was the end of that. She was probably right. I mean, how many, with what I had in mind, it wasn't going to work in a 10 at all. So
Yeah.
that was prior to undergravel filters. Everything was box filters, no sponge filter.
What did you guys keep in the box filters then?
Back then, people used carbon a lot and fiberglass. It was actually fiberglass, not fiberfill. It was actually the real fiberglass that would break and stuff. And a lot of people, Pam is one, I like to tease her now that I know what was going on. She said she didn't like the box filters. We're the same age. Because they would always float to the top, and I'm like, you weight them down with rocks, and she said the rocks would always fall off. So I explained to her that rocks go inside the filter. She should have never shared that with me. But yeah, if they're not weighted down, they'll move around.
That's funny.
William Predmore.
Hey, William.
Hey, Pridemore.
Yeah, I myself started out with a 5.5 gallon, quickly upgraded to a 29. When the craziness began.
Now these tanks were the old black. They were slate bottomed. This was like in the early 60s, like 61 or 2. And they had the black, whatever that stuff is, the gum stuff around, no silicone.
And you said you have how many aquariums right now, Bob? 68?
68. Last time I counted, and I don't remember taking anything down or putting any up for sure.
Yeah, I've been lagging on finishing my fish room so badly, but when I'm finally done, I should have somewhere around 80.
It's a lot of water changing. Are you going to have auto water change?
Not yet. Not right now.
Well, you're young, so it makes a difference.
Yeah, good thing is like there will be a very little use of buckets at least.
You have yours grouped or concentrated in a room.
For the most part.
Mine are all over the house. They're in every room now except the bathrooms and a spare bedroom that used to be my home office. So those are the last places that don't have tanks.
Wait, they're not all in just one room at his house.
For the most part. Now I have just the bathrooms and I'd say my kitchen without a tank in it.
Yeah. If I'm able to get the 125 by myself in from the garage from Ginger's, I'm going to move my little breakfast table out of there, just like a breakfast area. Because I never sit at it. I haven't sat at it in years and years. and
Who
do
needs
something with
furniture,
it.
right?
What?
If you don't use your furniture, you don't need it.
I don't use that. No, I've got a dining room table here that I can sit at, and I sit at either one of my desks usually when I'm eating. But anyway, that would be a good place for it because I can walk all around it. You know, it'll be in the middle of the floor. So, but that's nowhere in the next 2 weeks or anything. Maybe in the next year I'll get that done.
You should have James and Paul.
Mika, sorry, man.
Is anybody saying they can't hear me? I just realized I'm mumbling. Not even worried.
No, you're good.
Okay. Good.
Well, I'm glad I'm the one here with the least amount of tanks because I only got 49.
That's not a huge difference. I mean, really.
That could make. Well, my tanks are all small though.
Yeah.
So.
Most of mine are small.
Good, George. You know, I'm hearing several people say, reminded me when you said that, Priscilla, that a lot of people lately are saying they're going to bigger tanks and consolidating so they don't have as many systems to manage. And I can see how that might be easier. I don't know. What do y'all think about that?
I think if you're crazy enough, it's baloney because you're going to keep the small tanks. You're going to set the big tanks up. And then a few weeks or months or however long you're able to wait later, you're going to set all the small tanks back up again with all the big tanks up still. So,
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah.
that happened to me.
Yep. Happened to me.
That's why I'm not in any rush at all to start these breeding projects and set up the rack with those 9 little 10 gallons on it. Because I'll probably wish I hadn't.
Well, I mean, I work at a fish store, take care of tanks all day long, so I try to avoid doing that
Yeah.
after I get home, which is why I set up all my tanks the way I did, so they almost take care of themselves.
Hey, Kirk.
Fishymon has some awesome tanks. It really does.
How many tanks do you feel comfortable currently maintaining, Bob?
Where I'm at. And that's actually one reason that I haven't. Of course, it's just now really time this coming week, weather-wise, to work with the tub without having to heat it or cover it. But I haven't done anything with my tub. And I thought about it today. I was in a couple of fish stores, and I thought, just wait till next week. And usually I'm raring to go, to get that tub going. So it would be, again, like Priscilla said, that would kind of maintain itself. Every year I don't do any heat or circulation, any aeration, nothing. It has to do itself. So, but even that, I just haven't wanted to rush into. It's one more thing to watch, to manage.
With how many tanks you have, how often would you say you actually look at each one?
Quite a bit. That's one reason I didn't want to consolidate, because I could move furniture out of, say, this room and the dining room, behind me, and put racks up, or have racks made. Well, not now with the wood. I wouldn't pay that for wood now, but I could do that. But I wouldn't enjoy them as much. I mean, me personally. I really like them just being there when I walk by or when I'm doing something in that room or that area of the room. And so I see all of my tanks at least twice a day and check the temperature. I only feed once a day now, so that took an hour away from the daily care. So that helps with water changes too, of course.
Oh man, that's pretty good. I can't say I really watch all my tanks every day. Especially the majority of them are more project tanks, so not really much to watch.
Well, I don't sit and watch all of them, but I do see them. I look in them, even if it's just to turn the light on or to feed. But I don't sit and watch. There's no way I could do that.
Yeah.
I'm looking at 4 tanks where I'm at, and I'm enjoying them, really enjoying them.
I usually don't watch tanks at the store. I just scan the tanks to see if something's wrong, not necessarily watching things. But when I'm
Right.
at home and I have the stuff I like my manta shrimp, I can sit there for 10 minutes and watch him watch me. So,
Actually, I lied. I've got 2.5 gallons with betas in them sitting the 33 long on my desk. So there's 6 I'm watching right now. I've got a question about, if you'll allow it, Your Honor. I feel like I'm in the courtroom. If you'll allow the question um, about the manna shrimp. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to research it. I got a little mantis, and they're not 100% sure it's a peacock. They think it is, but it's so small. But he's doing well. He's eating, and he has grown, but I haven't found a molt from him. I call him him, but he does this thing, and he's fine. He scared me a couple of times. He was doing it today. Um, I guess it was Skipper that said, "Is he alive?" I don't know why. Anyway, I was showing him, I think, to Skipper, but he lays on his side, kind of like reclines back and curls a little bit. And his little, I forget the names, I memorize things and forget, his little paddles underneath. He does those like in like no distress, like he's really enjoying moving. That's my impersonation of that. And but if I go in very cautiously and like put a shell between my hand and him and go over it, he'll sit right up and he won't run away, but he'll walk away and walk away to cover. But what in the world, does yours do that, or did it do that?
how big is it?
He was like an inch and a half. He's a little bigger than my little finger. I can show him to you if you want a little bit. So.
Yeah, I wonder what type of mantis it is. Sometimes they do that. Like we just got in one at the store that is actually a peacock mantis, but it's kind of on the smaller side. And there was 2, 3 times where I thought it was dead because it
Yeah,
kind of was laying besides the rock on the side
yeah.
and not moving much. But then as soon as you tap the glass or something, it will move. And I mean, as long as it's eating and all that, it should be okay. They do molt every 3 months.
Okay.
At least
He,
mine molts every 3 months.
he must be ready because he has grown. And I lied. I just realized that I lied. I caught myself in a lie. I have 69 tanks. Because when I got him, the people I was with, I said, I can, throw up a little 10-gallon tank and drop him in there. He's so small. And so that's what I did. I used some water out of one of the tanks, not a lot, but I mean, because that water was fine. And then maybe 5 gallons of water I mixed and made sure I mixed it to the right temperature and put him a little heater in. But all he has in there right now is an air stone. So I've got to get him some filtration going. And I monitor his water closely. But yeah, I noticed him doing that behavior a couple of days ago. And I checked the water first thing, and it was fine. It was where it should have been. And so I went ahead and did like a 25% water change. Um, but he was fine. He was just doing that. He's real dark green.
I had mine for over a year now, and I think he molted like 5 times so far. It's about every 3 months.
He wasn't very little, though, when you got him, was he?
Not that small. I mean, he grew at least 2 inches since, but he wasn't that small. He was fairly colorful. I think he was at least like 4 inches when I got him, probably. And now he's probably around 6, 7. Number 7.
He's pretty big.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot bigger than this guy. But I've got to spend some time on that tank because he really has nothing but a couple of, things I pulled out of the 40 breeder right beside where he's sitting. He's sitting on the kitchen counter by my little coral tank, little 20 long coral tank.
So there's one thing you can do to actually help a saltwater shrimp molt. Let me go get it real quick so I can show it to you. Be right back.
The mantis she has at the store looks pretty cool. It's really green. Thought it might have been a lime green mantis at first, but thinking it might be a female peacock now.
This guy is, he's darker than, like military green, like the old, the old green, the old military stuff. He's darker than that, and I think he's got some, if I'm remembering correctly, he's got like some fringe around his tail and stuff, maybe red or orange. We'll look at him a little bit. You'll remind me. They could mold and hide in it to eat it later really quick. Yeah, the calcium's in there for sure. No, actually that tank too, and I lied a couple of times. I said I had 9 tanks just put on a rack, and I have 8 because I grabbed one of those tins out of the stack. So I only have 8 of those left, and I have 69 tanks. It was an honest lie, though, an honest mistake.
So every saltwater invert needs iodine in order to properly molt. Like where freshwater shrimp need enough calcium in order to properly molt. But so this is from CChem, which is the test kit. I mean, you can test the levels, but then CChem also makes this supplement from Aquavitro. It's called Vibrance, and it raises iodide levels. But if you do too much, it's toxic.
Yeah.
So I usually do it once a month after a larger water change, and I don't test it. If I would do it on a weekly, I probably would test it. But it's pretty simple. 1 cap for 25 gallons, and that's it. And I have a 28-gallon bio cube, and I usually just put like one of the inside caps, and that's it.
I'll check that out.
And the mold comes out perfectly every time.
Yeah. Yeah. How does that? I'm sorry.
Sorry, Bob. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask a follow-up question on that. How does it work with? I've got the shrimp and other inverts in my coral tank, but how does it do with coral? I bet it's toxic.
No, corals actually love it too.
Okay.
Like any zoanthids and like pallies that have little polyps, they love that stuff too. It makes them explode.
Okay, good.
As long as you don't overdo it, like anything, it's pretty beneficial for your tank.
I'll probably go ahead and get some and then try it half dose, just for my own comfort.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different companies that make iodide to put in your tank. I would definitely go with this one, Aquavitro, because they claim that it's non-toxic iodide. So even if you maybe overdo it, you might still be on the safe side.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking I want to get that other mantis shrimp if it's a female, so maybe we can do some breeding later.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work.
Although, I don't know, I think I would need a pretty decent cube because I don't know if I'd trust those cubes we got for the shrimp tanks.
Like the
Feel like-
BioCube I have has pretty thick glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been people sharing their horror stories, about they heard this or they had a friend, and even a mantis as small as this guy, people were saying how that it could injure your finger and all that. So I've been leaving him alone.
Oh yeah, I mean they call him the thumb splitter for a reason.
Yeah.
I believe it. I think my pistol shrimp killed my chorus wrasse. It was dead on the rock right by the pistol shrimp's cave.
Oh, sounds like it.
Oh yeah, I
Chubb.
believe Curtis.
Just looking to see who's in here is Chubbs. Howdy, howdy.
I did see something I wanted today, but I was talked out of it. It probably would have terrorized my tank.
What were you going to subject your tank to?
A snowflake eel.
Yeah. Sounds like you might have had some good advice there.
But I mean, you like your hermit crabs, right? I just can see it like in my head, like a battle royale between the pistol shrimp and the snowflake eel.
What is it?
Oh man.
I've been tempted to get those, but I just don't have a setup where everybody would be safe and comfortable, and that would I wouldn't enjoy that. But they are beautiful.
And saltwater is just so hard. It's like eat or get eaten with a lot of things.
Yeah. I'm sure this big hermit crab got my it was a red wrasse. I can't remember all of its name. Wrasse, not a wrasse. It's awful to be old and forgetful. A hawkfish. Gosh.
Or hawkfish.
Hawkfish. HAWK. Hawkfish.
Yeah.
And had a red one, and it was really cool. He was one of the first fish I had, and I really like those, because they sit around and watch you. Like if I had him, he would be sitting there watching me. They're really cool. But I missed him a day or two, and then I saw the hermit crab working on something that was just a skeleton. He was fine. Of course, it could have died, or another fish could have killed it, and he was cleaning up. But I think he actually, those hermit crabs, the big one here, he really tries to grab fish, so they have to watch out.
Oh wow.
Job says same as freshwater. Of course, fish eats fish. If it fits in their mouth, it will eat it. But freshwater, I feel like you have a better chance of things getting along than saltwater.
Yeah.
I feel like saltwater fish are definitely have their personalities and territories, and the amount of territory they want is a lot more than freshwater fish.
Oh my God, and damsels. Oh, that's like running a romper room or a daycare sometimes. They're almost as aggressive with their territory as some cichlids are. They really are.
I remember one time we got in the Australian harlequin tusk. It was like 6 inches, which is somewhat of a decent size for a tusk. And I put it in a 40 breeder by itself because I know it's an aggressive fish. And then my boss came walking in and he goes, where's the yellow chorus wrasse I put in there? And I'm like, I didn't see a yellow chorus wrasse when I put the tusk in the tank. And as he said that, the yellow chorus wrasse comes out of the sand. The tusk sees the wrasse, and it took like a split second, and there was no more wrasse.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. didn't know. But yeah.
That's got to be one of my top 3 favorite fish is the yellow chorus wrasse. I have 3 of them, and I have 3 saltwater tanks. So I have 1 in each tank. They're just a really cool fish.
Yeah, and Julie is right. There's one damsel. It's called the Sergeant Major damsel, I think. They get about 6-7 inches, but you can actually hear their jaw snap
Mm-hmm.
because they snap so fast.
That's crazy. Hey, Chewy.
If
What up, Pop?
you all can hear the hound coughing, I'm sorry. I'm kind of keeping an ear to him. It's my old Daniel.
No.
Kenny would be a good candidate to be up here too, talking about how many tanks is too many.
Mm.
Oh, I didn't know this Bottom Dweller Aquatics is here.
Yeah, I saw Angus come in a little bit ago.
So I think you mentioned it earlier, Bob, but what do you do to keep your maintenance as simple as possible?
Well, like I said, I use a water changer, a hose, and I happen to use the Python. There are other brands I think that work just as well if you take care of them and use them well. And I love using. Actually, Lee's has a good product that's it's called the cleaning claw, but I use it more to keep fry and really small fry from getting sucked up the tube. You can walk away and be doing something else with another tank and not have to watch the fish, where you don't have to, put a net over the end or cut a piece of hosiery or, you just put that claw on and it fits, it's universal fit. I got 2, I lost mine and I'm sure it's in a tank somewhere covered up, and because it's not anywhere that I can find. So I got 2 of them this time and they were really worth it. So that saves a lot of time not having, and it also breaks the water flow up. I don't feel like I fill the tanks super fast, but when it's a 180 or a 125, you're going to go ahead and get the water in there pretty quick. But it breaks the water, it disperses it a little bit too, so that's a real cool tool. And other than that, I just kind of have a routine. Like I say, I start on Friday and am finishing up on Sunday, and I finish with saltwater. So I just kind of pace myself and I lurk, watching YouTube or sometimes all the time you guys see me say I'm doing water changes. So, and I'm one of those.
More water changes in every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, and I'm one of those people that enjoys the water changes. I don't enjoy cleaning sponge filters and hang on backs. That part I don't enjoy. I have to do it, of course, but I love feeding fish and I love changing their water, but the other maintenance, not so much.
Like those 15 7-gallon cubes I have here, I love to do water changes in those because I clean the glass, drain a gallon, clean the sponge in there, have gunky water, and then I use that water to water my plants. So it's kind of like all a nice circle.
Do you do everything you're going to do to each tank individually? Like drain it, clean the glass, clean the
I
sponge?
mean, they're all the same, set up all the same filter, same substrate, different types of plants. But yeah, it's the same process 15 times basically.
But do you do all the water changes and go back and do the next step and then the next step?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I usually drain them all and then remineralize my water and then fill them up the next day. Actually, I don't fill them up the same day.
So that saves a lot of time doing it that way too. He's back. He went all around the tank. He's back begging. Hermit crab. Just show everybody else.
Yeah, that thing is so big.
Yeah, he's massive. He does need a new shell.
Yeah, he does really bad. That one has more swirl to it than it looks like from this side, but I'm sure he's at the end of it. I see you. Look at him picking up the gravel, and he's not even getting to his mouth. He's just like, it's time to eat. It's time to eat. You're a mess. Whoops. You're
What
a
size
mess.
was he when you got him?
He was maybe half that big. Maybe. Algae.
Man, macaroons aren't going to get that big, are they?
If they're the neon, yeah, they should. I have two others that are smaller than he was when I got them, but they've changed shells once, and one of them's gotten bigger than the other. They're in the 40, and I have to watch them and keep them well fed, which makes them grow, or they get into fights. The big one picks on the little one. So.
Nice, Fishy Mom.
L333, that is nice.
What up, Kevin?
Kevin, if I had just 1 extra minute, I'd be there, but I don't.
After he came to do mine.
Right.
Oh, King Tiger plecos.
Yeah, Anthony's got the salt, so I'd have to see him first.
I think somebody just has to finish the fish room.
Yeah, somebody keeps going, just finish it. It'll be easier. And I'd agree. I do believe that's the biggest mistake I made with that fish room is buying too many fish too soon.
Mm,
But it's so hard to have a tank and not have fish in it.
yummy.
I tried to help you.
Yeah, what I do to make my water changes easiest on me, I've been doing it for a while, is I'll basically attach, like for some of these tanks, like the goldfish tank, I'll just attach a gravel vac to a longer hose and let it run outside or the toilet or something.
What do you
And
do
then,
if you suck up a fish?
don't know, hasn't happened. No, so for the fish that can be sucked up, like when I was using a gravel vac for the guppy tanks, I'd stuff a sponge in there. So no fish going down the drain or anything.
Kevin asks if I have a road that I remineralize but use a real trash can for them then. So I make my RO in the bathroom in a 30-gallon Rubbermaid tub. And there's a pump in there, and I use that pump with my Python hose. And I just pump the water in this room where I have a big 30-gallon trash can. And then I remineralize it here. And since I only drain a gallon out of each tank, I usually just take a gallon jug and I fill them up myself.
Kevin also asked what for adding water back in. I have a 100-gallon IBC tote in the fish room that's warm to the temperature of the fish room. Air stone running in it and a fairly powerful pump with a long hose. And I use a little remote connected to the electrical outlet for that.
Yeah, I didn't mention, I don't think that I have a pump, actually 2 of them, but for the big tanks, I've got a strong pump. I forget what the GPH is on it, but I especially use that for the salt water, to get my salinity and temperature correct and pump it right in each tank. Saves a huge amount of time.
The remote is a pretty good idea.
What? Did I miss Blackie?
When you're saying remote,
Yeah,
what's
because he has it hooked his pump where he uses to pump the water in back into the tanks. He has it on a switch that uses a remote.
Oh,
I actually have when I do the goldfish tank and I'm in a hurry, I do use a pump as well. That's also hooked to the same remote.
Yeah. And I use my Python for that. I take the ends off of it and hook it to the pump, and boom, right to each tank. Do you drip or use a pump for the shrimp? It's a good question, Kevin.
So, like I said, all my Caradina tanks are 7-gallon tanks. I usually clean the front glass a little bit, but technically don't have to. I just do it so I can take pictures and stuff. And it looks clean. I like my things to look clean. And then I use like the mini python, like the smallest one. And I drain a gallon out. If I have a lot of shrimplets, I usually don't disturb the sub or don't go into the substrate. And if I do have a lot of shrimplets and I want to clean the substrate, I just take a turkey baster and I blow water around in the substrate so all this stuff comes up and gets sucked into the sponge filter. And then I technically just clean the sponge filters and then remineralize water and add it back to the tank. And then the following week, because it's so dry here in Colorado, my tanks evaporate like at least half an inch. So I just top them off with the evaporation. And yeah, that's it. Pretty simple.
Bob, you're being asked if you ever bred your giant crebensis.
No. Well, actually, that's not true. I got a trio from Dan maybe 3 years ago, at least 2.5, 3 years ago. And I think since then he has bred them, but he had kept a couple of pairs maybe to breed and they just wouldn't. So I was determined, if it was all possible, to let them breed. And I kept trying to get them to pair up, but what I realized is that they really wanted to colony breed. So I left all of them together and that worked. And one of the females was dominant. There was only one male. And that's the way they are now. After they had the first spawn, all of those guys, they literally were nice to they're kind of like the Brichardi, you know how those guys do. They help raise the others and take care of them. I was really surprised because they're not generally described that way. So they had a second spawn, and I got a pretty big colony. And Dan contacted me a couple of times and said, people are asking if you have them for sale. Should I tell people? And I'm like, no, because I would show them. I mean, people knew I had them, but they were asking him since I got them, I guess, or if I would give him some to sell. And so I said, no, I want a third spawn, and they never have done it a third time. So that's one of the projects I wanted to do with those 10 gallons, is to pull out a couple of trios and a couple of different tanks and see if I could replicate that, if they would replicate it for me. Because I would like to get some of them out in the hobby. Yeah. That wasn't Patrick, was it, that asked that?
No, Chewy.
Chewy, yeah. But Dan did get some in, I think, this last shipment he got. I think he has some now.
Kevin asked if I drip it or not. If it's less than 15%, I just dump it in there. If I would do 50%, I would probably drip it.
Yeah, Chewy's
Or ask how you get it in there, if you use a pump to do it or what.
Oh no, just a gallon jug. Like I just take a gallon out and I put a gallon in.
Yeah.
Like a drinking jug with a handle.
Chewy, how do you know that about the pelvic promise? You just know it, or people like me that have bred them? Well, you're seeing in the wild they're not monogamous. I had a lot of trouble finding anything at all that because Dan was even like, really? Yeah, they really wanted to all stay together. But even now, I have a dominant male and a dominant female. They just don't spawn. They color up, but they don't spawn.
Oh, that's fun. I thought Blackie was talking about racing.
Oh, Formula One?
Yeah, that's what I thought he was talking about.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Chewy. That'll be a good place for me to go back. A couple of good places. Yep. Thanks for that.
How often do you feel overwhelmed with your current setup, Bob?
Well, I'm real careful not to put myself in that position if I don't want to do water changes for 4 hours one day, because that's usually what I try to do is like a 3 to 4 hour block and get a room. I usually start with my bedroom, then the kitchen area, then this room, and then what I call the rainbow room. Well, the dining room's got tanks too in it behind me, but so it's 4 days. But I try to end up with the salt tanks the last day because it breaks it up. By then I'm kind of tired of just using prime and matching temperature. So the salt I save it for the last. But I make sure that I don't, because I think that's what might happen to some people, is they just get tired of the water changes and the labor part of it. And if I'm not feeling it, hey, I'm my own boss as long, and that's one reason I try to keep my water parameters reasonable, and that's why I try to do it. Well, I don't try, I do every week, so that if I need to go a day or two longer, it's not going to be a big deal. Not at all. So I never do so far, but I have a feeling that if I set up a couple of more big tanks, that I might be really pushing that. So that's why I'm just kind of pausing things now.
Yeah.
Hmm.
If you can't enjoy your tanks anymore because you have so much stuff to do, then it's probably
Right,
too much.
right. Yep. I've never had this many tanks. And when I stopped working 6 years ago, I guess, I think I had 8 tanks, and with just in a couple of months, I had 12, and then I was at 20. And I remember a friend saying, a local friend saying, wow, you doubled, and I'm like, no, I tripled, in a year. But and I said, well, I'm not going to add any more. Unless I change a tank out or make one solid. And I lied and lied and just kept on going. So I think a lot of us rationalize why we're doing one more tank, or just like doing that with the Menace. I had to sell one up, couldn't be with
Oh,
the other things.
I mean, I had my 28-gallon cube sitting around empty for like a year, and I can have a tank sitting around empty forever. I'm not rushing it. And then I just happened to do a saltwater order for the store, and I saw the shrimp on there, and I was like, I have to buy it.
Yep.
So it's like sometimes we do impulse buys, but it's not always a bad thing. Like that's how Anthony ended up with a new crayfish.
Yeah. What was up with that, Anthony?
I went to go down to San Diego, hang out with Priscilla and friends, and maybe get an Episto to replace my one that died. And then somebody had to have a crayfish.
What? What do you mean? I just said it would be cool, and you're like, sure.
Uh-huh. That's how it went.
Yeah, that's exactly how it went.
Right.
But
Where is the crayfish now?
you like the
Um,
crayfish.
in my room. So video to come out soon.
Awesome.
on Swiss Aquatics.
Awesome.
It's actually an Australian crayfish.
I think there was a little message there for people that heard what you said.
What? So Kevin asked if we check our water or just do water changes weekly.
I do it
Both.
bi-weekly.
Yeah. I don't really check my water anymore. I want to say weekly, but yeah, about weekly to bi-weekly, depending on the tanks.
I do both, but it's just a ritual to go ahead and keep the water very, very clean, and not if something happened, if I had to be in the hospital 2 days. I mean, I am old, but something like that, I wouldn't want to be worrying about it. Like I wanting to go home the next day after a heart attack, or anything like that. I'd want to feel like I could recover or whatever, and not have to put fish before me. And that really is a motivator too. It's not like a fear thing. It's just like, I'm taking, it's not like I can't board the fish, but I have friends that, would come and help take care of them and all that. So it would be fine. Hopefully they wouldn't have to do any water changing. What I was saying about the message, Anthony, you said what? It was when you said you were going to do a video about the crayfish to come out on Swiss Aquatics soon.
Oh.
Was that a question?
No, I just said there was a message there for people that heard what he said. I think. Sounds like you're going to be doing at least this one video together.
But I mean, we spent some time together and we combined have 130 tanks. So there's stuff to make content on, a lot of it actually.
Yeah. It just seems like a natural progression for each of you, the way I'm looking at it. So.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time we do aquarium stuff anyway. Yeah.
Oh, bottom dwellers. I'm sorry, Priscilla.
Like, I think pretty much every time we see each other, we set up a new tank.
Ah. Bottom dweller says that don't check water, but change it 25% 2 times a week. So you're basically doing what I'm doing, because I never do less than 30, and I try not to go over 40, 45. So we're doing about the same thing.
Good night, Kenny. Hope you feel better.
Night, Kitty. Oh, that's true.
So, like, bottom dweller changes a lot of water. I barely change any water. And then, like, Kevin was asking me that question. You have to determine how much water you have to change, how frequent. And you can test that yourself. You can do a water change like you would normally do, then test your nitrates the following day. And that's basically your starting point. And then give it a week, test your nitrates again, and see how far they went up. And if they went up by like 40 parts per million, then you obviously have a higher bioload in there, and you need to change your water probably then once a week. If it takes a month to get up to 20, 40 parts per million after you did a water change, then you don't have to change your water that often. So you just have to figure out, you can't say like you have to change water once a week, 25% on every tank. That's, every tank's different. So
Right.
your tank. Ian.
Hey, BJ.
BJ.
Did you say Ian? Oh, hey, Ian.
And you just have to test that once or twice. I mean, after you figured it out and you don't change that much, then it's not going to change. If you don't happen to feed more or add more fish, then it's not going to change your cycle, your natural occurrence cycle.
One thing I have noticed about the salt, and I mean, I stock my tanks well. Some people would say I overstock them. The parameters are good, and I do overfilter, and I do cultivate the beneficial bacteria in all those tanks. But those tanks seem to last longer. The water parameters stay stable longer than the fresh water. And I'm not sure why, but they really do. I'm surprised sometimes, like when I check the 180 as opposed, which is fresh, to the 125, which is salt, and the 180 might have a 40 nitrates, like the fourth or fifth day after changing. So I know for sure it's going to be the first day I start changing that way. But these guys can go 2 weeks literally. I'm doing them every 10 to 14 days now, and I integrate that into the. That's one reason that I can drop back to 3 days most weeks. So
I mean, with salt water, the amount of life rock you have in there holds so much more beneficial bacteria
right,
than your freshwater tank behind you that has gravel and plants.
yep, and those are all sealed. But yeah, you're right, and it's porous rock. And I did not start with live rock either. So all of that has grown. He's over there playing with his shells now. Sometimes he gets like clams on the half shell.
The fish behind you are fighting.
Are they fighting, or just?
Mm-hmm. They're like pushing each other in the corner.
Which ones is it?
The one that's in the left, sitting in the corner, he's being pushed into the corner.
Yeah, they're not. Oh yeah, the pacus.
Yeah, the puck
See, when I got up,
fighting.
I think they're actually a pair.
And the Severums are just watching. It's like a standoff.
Well, the Severums actually tell them what to do, and the Geos tell the Severums and the pacus what to do. It's funny, the pecking order. They think I'm going to feed them, which I am soon. They're not getting a water change till tomorrow, but I heard you guys are fighting. What's going on? What's going on? I see they pulled apart a filter, or it fell apart. A sponge. What's going on, guys?
No, Jess.
Which Jess is going to bed. Oh, Ian is there. Jess Shrimp Granny.
Rita was going to bed too. I should probably go to bed soon too. Gotta work tomorrow still.
Nice, Ian.
You're 2 hours behind Eastern, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's 11:24.
Yeah. I don't know what they're up to. They're not really fighting. They might just be pushing each other. They get kind of boisterous, but you see their fins are, they're not. They don't have any damage. I don't know what they're up to. What are you guys doing? What's up? They're so funny when I feed the blind fish. they stay. They've gotten closer over time, but they've never tried to take the food from me or bothered me. That could change, but they're definitely not as aggressive as piranha, which we know. But they do have some choppers. I think they're probably just anxious, boisterous. Yeah, yeah. What's going on? They don't even bother the barbs.
Later,
What
Myrtle.
what do you feed them?
The same thing everybody eats. I make sure they get some jumbo krill, frozen thawed, and the jumbo bloodworms. And I also feed them the same wafers that Dharma the Fahaka eats. They love those. They'll sit and eat them forever if I let them eat them, but they love wafers. And I also make sure they get some nuts. They really love nuts, and they love fruits like cranberries and certain berries they really like. So,
Do you
which
feed
they
them pears? I
feed them
heard
what?
pears.
Pears?
Yeah,
I haven't. I
I
bet
heard
they
they
love
like
them.
that a lot.
I'll try some. I'll get them some. Yeah. In fact, remind me to show you that shrimp before you leave. See what you think about it.
Yeah.
If everybody's waiting for food. Not long, guys. And they're just like every other fish. They watch your hand to see if you have something. And that's actually the bigger fish over there, I think. They're pretty close. Uh, they don't usually do that. There's two. Here's yours. I'm dropping them too.
How much frozen food do you go through a month?
A lot. I've been trying to vary that, but um, and also I'm trying to cut back on it a little bit for water quality. That one's getting all of them. Here, get it, get it, get it, get it. He's so crazy.
And the other one comes in.
Yeah, it lets it get it every time. I go through a lot of the wafers, and they like the floating cichlid sticks, that kind of stuff. The usual big fish food. I try to give them stuff that's really good quality, though. Again, for the water's sake, and theirs. They get jazzed up when it's feeding time. Here we go.
They all look pretty healthy.
Yeah, they should be. That's my old several there. That's from spawning. They beat each other up. There's her mate. All right, let's look at that shrimp while I'm up. You guys, yeah, I'm going to be making some decision too about them soon. I'm not there yet, but I'm keeping an eye on them. Their body shapes are a little different too, so I'm hoping that means that one's one sex and one the other, but it could just be that they're a little different. The little platinum parrot down there has actually taken food out of their mouth, and they didn't bother. But see how much room they have from this angle. I mean, they've got plenty of room for now.
What kind of tank is that, Bob?
It's the size or the brand, or
Yeah.
it's an Aquion
Oh,
180.
okay.
Yeah, and it is. It's a good tank. Haven't had any trouble. Knock on wood. Knock on glass. So, all right. Let's see. There's the hose in the floor. Let's see. And this tank isn't lit. I just had. Okay, he's doing that now, but he saw me. Let me turn this around so I can see what you guys are seeing. Let me do that. That only takes me about a year. Slow up. Wars. See, he looks dead. Now he's doing the thing. And he's perfectly fine. He's doing his.
I think he might be trying to mold or something.
I didn't think of that.
He's pretty small.
Yeah. I know it's going to freak y'all out if I put my hand in there, but just to give you a. It feels cold, but it's not. Trying to see if he'll walk away without. He's getting more and more tolerant of me checking on him, that's for sure. There we go. He stayed in this shell. Well, he probably came out at night, but he really liked that. And I would put his food at the entrance there, and he would take it. I'd see him take it. He or she.
What kind of substrate is that?
It's, forget the brand. It was kind of expensive when I got it. There he goes. I pulled it right out of that tank there, that algae-ridden tank, out of the 40. It's two different.
I would try to get some aragonite sand because of the keeps alkalinity up. Plus, the mantis shrimp, they do like to move around sand and burrow and stuff.
Yeah.
So I would put more in there just so he actually has like building material.
Yeah. Like I say, I just set this up, literally grabbed things out of these two tanks here and threw in there. I've got their light pulled over. Salt creep falling off there. But yeah, I do need to do that and really set him up a tank. So he didn't do a whole lot that time. To keep that between me and him.
He's so small.
Yeah.
But as long as he eats, he should be okay.
Yeah, he eats.
A lot of times, if they're scared, they also try to pretend they're dead. Or they pretend they're dead. So you leave them alone, basically.
I want him to walk around because you know how cool they look when they strut around.
Right.
You might be. See, he jerked away that time. There you go. Get up, kid. There he goes. I put him where we can't see him now, but he uncurled himself and sitting up. But yeah, he does need sand, and he needs to be able to, like exactly what you said. This is, it was the best. You can see where I scooped some of it out there, the hole there. And there's the, those guys. Another one of them. That's the bigger one. There's a small one back there. Well, thank you, Priscilla. I appreciate it. Can you see his color, or does he just look black?
He looks like a peacock mantis shrimp.
That's what they said. They couldn't guarantee it for sure. But yeah, he's real dark
Yeah, he
green.
could be either a peacock mantis shrimp or one of those green soldier shrimps.
Yeah.
They don't get as large, but if he has red antennas and a red club, then it's probably a peacock mantis shrimp.
A red what?
The club, the thing he's punching with.
Yeah. TB. Okay. Yeah, he's moving around, moving his eyes and stuff. I think he is trying to molt. I think you hit the nail on the head there. I see a piece of uneaten food there by him too. Need to vacuum in there, obviously. All right. Well, thank you. Let's put this back where it goes.
Thanks for showing that, Bob. That's cool.
Oh no, thank you, Priscilla, for helping me with the info and the ID.
Got a couple more questions for you, Bob.
Uh-oh.
If
Okay.
you could go back and make some changes to your current setup, what would they be?
You know, I have actually asked myself that. And I think if I knew I was going to have all of these tanks, I would have gone ahead and gotten rid of more of the furniture earlier on, because that's what I'm actually doing. Um, and it would have been easier, earlier to do it. But yeah, for sure.
Cool.
That's Tibby. He helps me feed the fish. We're going to feed in a minute. That's his big thing. He goes every day with me to feed fish.
That's
Right,
awesome.
Tibby? Tib. Yep, he helps. You're so silly. You're a good boy. But other than that, yeah, there's some of my stash. Other than that, can't really think of anything else. I
Hey,
might have
Scott Hank.
I might have gone ahead and gone bigger tanks. I might have done that.
I have several things I know I would have changed.
What would you change? Yeah.
Um, well, I would have really tried to get the fish room in the garage instead,
Right.
but at the very least, if I didn't do that, I would have ripped my carpet out from the get-go rather than trying to do it with 150 gallons sitting on it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And finish the fish room before getting fish.
Yep.
I think that's the number one thing I would preach to anyone starting a fish room is finish the fish room before buying your fish.
I've considered that because I could still go back and make like a fish room. The air pump had fallen down the back. I'm like, why's the sponge up in the air or up in the halfway up? I could still do that, but I would kind of feel like I was spending, just me personally, having to be places that I might not need to be or want to be right then to see, all those tanks. And this way, um, they're just everywhere, kind of. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I'm going about my day. There's Nathan's
I had
last convict.
my fish room twice now. Like I had a different fish room before I had this fish room.
Yeah. Was it the same as this one, or?
Nope. It was like 20 different tank sizes.
Yeah.
Like 20 different fish and not really knowing what's going on. And
Yeah.
then I started my job and I just had it, tore everything down, sold mostly everything. And then like half a year later I was like, I really want to do plants and shrimp and that's it. And then that's when I built that rack and this table behind me. And
Right.
everything else is just addition.
Right. Well, you're lucky you were able to pinpoint what your interest, or at least your primary interest right now, is. And you may change that 10 times, in the next 10 years. So,
Yep, we evolve as fish keepers.
right, exactly. Yeah, and I think sometimes, especially people that look at this, like he could reach out, he's stretching and stretching.
You
I
have to
think
be
people
proud.
think they need to label themselves or what they do, and I don't think that's really that important, as important to other people as it is to us sometimes.
Thank you, Mickey. Hope things look up for you.
Night, Mika. Hope things turn out okay.
Chihuahuas, they have been fed because we wouldn't be able to even be in the house if I hadn't fed those little varmints.
Where is Yazzie?
I just let him back in the bedroom when I was in there by the mantis. He has to go, or he was standing at the gate. I'm just trying to wait and see a minute if he's gonna stay without me. Look at you guys. Look at you guys. Always have the wet, fishy smelling t-shirt.
All right, last question for you, Bob.
Oh, okay. Let me sit
What
down.
would you say your biggest positives and negatives are about your current setup, the way they are?
What about? Say that again. Those dogs are barking.
Your biggest positives and negatives about your current fish house.
Okay. The negative is obviously that they're all over the house. That that is a negative in the sense that they're not consolidated. That it would be a nightmare to do a central air system or a central water change or that kind of thing. But I'm willing to sacrifice that convenience so far to have them with me all day long. I guess that's the best way to say it. They're with me all the time, unless I'm in the bathroom. So, so that's a negative, I guess. And the positive might be the same thing, Anthony. The positive is that um, I don't have to work. I'm disabled. I have all the time in the world, that I want to make to spend with fish. I mean, I have to, I volunteer at the Ark and I have responsibilities there and stuff, but and family stuff. But I basically feel like I live in a fish store. I feel like I'm Priscilla, but I don't have to sell any of them. I thought that
It's
would get a laugh out of her.
well, it's different. The fish store versus
Right?
stuff at home.
Yeah, it's my stuff. So,
Yeah, I mean,
but
I've
it's
told Anthony before, like nobody can touch my water
yep.
at the
I get
fish
it.
store. It is what it is, right?
I get that. Yep.
She won't even let me touch it. I'm like, come
No,
on,
it's
just let
like
me do
you
a water
can.
change. Your pupper needs a water change. She's like,
Nope.
no.
Nope. Get out
No,
of there.
they said you can. You're the only person that's allowed to.
Yeah, I think that because I really do feel like a kid in the. Is that what they were doing, Priscilla?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do that all the time. I mean, that's just their way of playing, I think. They've always done that. See, that one ran at him real hard, but he stopped before he touched him. They're
Yeah.
both he's, but I hope they're a pair. But yeah, it's kind of like being a kid, and that also really helps with, not developing any bad attitude or feeling tired of all these tanks or, I mean, who wouldn't like to live in a place that's like a fish store, but you can stock whatever you want and, or get rid of whatever you want. And I love it. It's like I brought my dogs and cats and my lunch to a fish store.
Hmm.
Get to hang out every day.
I
I
mean,
know I'm weird. I know.
80% of the time, I really do love my job. The 20% I don't. It's more of like paperwork stuff or whatever,
Yeah.
not necessarily because of the aquariums. I mean, 8 out of 10 customers are great, and it's usually awesome too. I mean, Anthony can tell too. Sometimes kids come in and they have a great time, and it's a rewarding job, but
Right.
still, it's different than the stuff at home.
It was pretty cool. One of the weekends I was there, two kids came in. The dad brought them in and then like left next door or something for a while. Comes back in, and I was thinking that the kids were just going to be there, looking around and stuff. The father comes back in and just pays for whatever the kids needed.
And they were on a mission. Like, he knew. I mean, how old was he? Like 14 or so? He exactly knew what he was going to get. He did research and everything. He's like, I'm going to do an aquascape like this and that. I'm going to add this, and they're going to build an acrylic tank. And it's just great seeing kids
That's so
enjoying the
cool.
hobby.
Yeah. Yep. That's
I
kind of
mean, these
what.
kids had more thought into what was going to go on than I have in any of my tanks.
That's awesome.
Kids always do put more thoughts into the tanks than the adults do.
I would actually really love to see that tank.
Right.
You guys better stop. You're worrying people. Worrying people.
Like that one kid I got an email one day from a teacher saying that she has a student that's trying to do his final project assignment, and he wants to do an assignment about breeding honey gouramis, and part of it was asking an adult to answer questions, and the kid chose me to answer questions. And
Oh, cool.
I didn't know the kid, so he sent me like voice clips with the questions, and I sent them back to him how he can breed honey gouramis. And then like 4 months later, he comes into the store and goes like, "Hey, my name is Charlie, and you helped me with my school project.
Oh,
I actually did breed honey gouramis and stuff." So, and then his mom came in too, and she's like, "You helped him so much. Now he wants another aquarium."
thanks and thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I don't work. I mean, but it is my job. I'm the director at the shelter and also the president of the board. The jobs no one what no one wants because we all want to play with the animals or take them to the vet or brush them or bathe them. We all want to be hands on. Even scooping the cat litter is better than having to do a stupid report for the vet, but it has to be done. But we get kids that do their service hours and they have to write reports about their time there and all that. So I've got all the volunteers now that are engaged in that because they always would want me to do it. And I'm not there every day. I don't have to be there every day. I'm on call if they need me, but I'm only actually there scheduled 2 days. So, and they love it. The kids really enjoy the dogs and cats and the same kind of thing you're talking about. And these are mostly high school and college. Uh, we've got a little girl, and this happens a lot. That's doing for her birthday. She's having a birthday party, and she's gonna in her backyard, and she pool party, and she's gonna have everybody bring something for the dogs and cats. So her mom came to get a list of what we need, and she was surprised that I had Clorox and more Clorox or just bleach on there, because we use it every day, all day long, and we always will.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool when you can get the kids involved. It's totally so much more fun.
And even sometimes with adults, I mean, like often too, I get into the situation where parents come to the store, they want to buy a fish tank because their kid wanted a fish tank. Then fast forward 6 months later, the parents all of a sudden buy a second tank, a third
Mm-hmm.
tank, put one in their office, and it's the parents doing it, and it's rewarding to see people getting into the hobby, coming into the fish store, and like listening to your advice, taking your help, and be successful. And I mean, I was there too 10 years ago, same spot.
Right.
So it is rewarding.
How does your little man? What does he think about all the fish and stuff?
He likes to get a rise out of my puffer fish. They scare him, and that's about it. And he likes to take the little shrimp net and go and pick out plants like duckweed and stuff.
Uh,
But that's it.
have you ever seen the movie Priscilla? It's got an autistic child in it, but it's like a drama. I think it's rated R. I'm not sure why, but it was maybe in the 80s. Richard Dreyfuss is in it as like a psychologist or something. But it's got a little boy that just played the part impeccably, um, called Silent Fall, Fall. It's
Nope.
awesome. If you're bored sometime, it's on YouTube. It's like a YouTube movie free.
I should watch it. Yeah, no, never seen that.
It's pretty cool. Oh, and it's got what's her name? Steven Tyler's daughter. It was her first role in a movie. Liv Tyler. Yeah, that's how old it is. It was her very first thing. But it's really good. I think most of the stuff is spot on about the autism and stuff like that. From what I
No
know.
worries, Mika. Night.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
I thought it would be good to fall asleep to a couple of nights ago, and I was up till 5:30 watching the whole thing. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's like an hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah, I used to go, I'll catch just a little bit of this show or movie before bed, and then, yeah, I'm up for hours.
Well, I was kind of glad it was something that, kept me interested enough to stay awake. So,
I think that was a pretty good stream. I'm pretty tired and not ready for work tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I've got to feed all these fish and do one more tank water change. That's why the hose is all over the place. And feed this varmint here.
Hey, Bob, do you have any Antheus?
I don't, and they're beautiful fish, but from what I've researched, not what I've heard, and what they tell me, let's see, I have one, two, three stores that have them. Um, and also, when we were where I got the crab at, near Tennessee Aquas, one of his local stores, they all say that they're a little, and Priscilla could speak to this too, they're a little more delicate than some fish. They're that fish, that you really got to pay attention to what you're doing and stuff. So, and that's the store owners telling me. So, I haven't tried them. They're not a cheap fish, but they sure are gorgeous.
That, that hermit the crab's so clumsy.
Oh, that's what I need in the 150, some Antheus.
Yeah, so now the thing with antis is they're great fish if you get them established well, they will do great, but getting them to be okay is a little challenging sometimes. They say you have to feed them like at least 3 times a day.
Yeah, that's another thing. I forgot that. Yep.
You're not going to do if you have a full-time job, so you're going to need to bring them to the point where they eat flakes or pellets, and then you have to have an auto feeder on your tank.
Right.
Because if you skip a day or two in the beginning while they grow, then that can be it. Like there's no forgetting to feed them situation.
There's one variety of them that I forget what the marking is on them, and it looks like they have a disease or a condition or something. It may be a white patch or white square. And I think
Square
that,
Antias, yeah.
what was it?
It's a square Antias. It's like a purple
Yeah.
square on the side. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That's the one. BJ, the name of the movie was Silent Fall, like autumn. And I'm not sure how the name applies to it. I really hadn't tried to figure that out.
It is on YouTube. It's a rated R 1994 thriller mystery.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to end this one now. Thank you for coming on, Bob. I appreciate you very much, so, sir.
My pleasure. I enjoyed both of you very much.
Thank you, babe. I appreciate you coming up with the stream and making all the questions.
What? Who did the questions?
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Thank you, mods that are here. I appreciate you all. Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night, everybody.